Hello and welcome to the Big Bad Marketing Podcast. I am Janae.
And I'm Brooke, and we are two entrepreneurs jumping headfirst into building a business.
We're marketers and we're content creators at heart. And in this podcast, we are helping small business owners learn how to play big with their marketing efforts, even if you have a small business budget.
So if you are ready to make big bad moves in your professional life, this podcast is for you. Welcome to episode 9, all about how to do email marketing right. So, email, is it dead? It's 2025. Do people still use email? I
I
venture to
check
say
my email
yes.
first thing every day. Maybe not the best time to do it, but I do check it frequently and use my email a lot. Do you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All the time. I feel like it is actually my preferred method of communication sometimes, even over phone calls and texts. Like, I am far more inclined to keep my email up all day on my computer while I work than to be checking my phone or anything like that. So, huge proponent of email, and I think email is still to this day an extremely effective marketing channel because most of the time, when you get someone's email address, they have agreed to receive things from you. So, like, what better prospect than someone that's already said, "Hey, yeah, I like you and I'd like to hear more from you."
They have given you a green light to send them marketing materials to tell them what you're up to present new products or solutions you're offering, and then maybe be dazzled by them. Maybe they want to buy them.
Absolutely. So, when's the last time that you got an email that you were like, this was crafted for me? I couldn't have done this better myself.
Okay, so this is a funny example, but I shop at Total Wine, which is it's not quite wholesale, but it's like a large scale liquor supply store chain company. And I have just been blown away by their email marketing. They are having their systems communicate with each other. So when I buy something, it's like stored in a algorithm somewhere and I get segmented into a particular email drip list because of what I've bought. And it as a marketer, I'm like, that is such a sophisticated system. So they get a new, for example, I really like wine from Spain, from the region called Rioja, La Rioja. So the wine, it comes from there. This is maybe TMI, but just letting you know that. So I bought that at Total Wine, and their software is aware that that's what I bought. And so whenever they get new wine from that region, they send me an email about it. And they're like, here's a new wine we're offering. We think you'd love it. Now they never send me emails about Moscato or Chardonnay or other wines that I just don't drink. So I would have to say bravo to Total Wine for just doing a really good job of following their customers, knowing what they want. It feels personalized. And more than once, I've been like, oh, they got this new wine. I have to go get it.
Absolutely. I love that. So that's sort of like the multi-pronged marketing approach of like, let's drive foot traffic into our stores via email, and let's do that in a really effective way. And also noted for future that you love Rioja wine from Spain. If anybody wants to send anything to Janae,
There
just
you
wine,
go.
please.
Yes, exactly. What
Yes.
about you? Great email experiences?
So I got a bark box years ago for my mom's dog, actually, ordered one for her. So I'm still on all of the bark box emails, and they are funny and they are creative. And I got one right before Christmas time about their December box. And if I bought that box, I would get a Grinch outfit for my dog. And I was just hysterical laughing over this Grinch outfit. I thought it was amazing. I clicked through all the
Oh, so
way
you bought
until,
it.
so I didn't actually buy it. I do this all the time, which is probably I don't know, a strange habit maybe. I clicked all the way through to like the purchase page, and then I was like, okay, the girls don't actually need a Grinch outfit. They have so
Hmm.
many toys. I already bought their Christmas gifts. Like, so it was sort of that, but that email totally worked. And I was like ready if my conscience didn't drop in to say, hey, by the way, do you actually need this? So that was more of a, an impulse
Impulse buy.
purchase.
Yes, I was
Yeah, that
thinking the
was something
same. It's
I
like,
didn't even
oh,
really
okay.
need. Yeah. Yeah,
What
but
I
I
like
love
so
their
much
emails.
about this example is how it ties into something we've mentioned before about the timing being so important in your marketing. Because clearly, someone over at BarkBox has a calendar and was like, hey, when are people going to be buying holiday gifts for their pets? When do we need to have all of the marketing materials organized so that we can send this out in advance of the holiday? Because had you gotten that email 2 or 3 days before the holiday, there's no way you're even if you had ordered it, right? That the Grinch costume would have arrived on time. So there's a lot of thinking demonstrated and thoughtfulness through the example you just gave. I love it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And talking about really great examples, I think it also behooves us to talk about some not so great examples of email marketing
Oh,
that we've seen. Now,
yes.
obviously, we don't have to call out certain brands here, but there was a one particular brand that I was getting emails indicating there was a short-term promotion where if I bought by midnight, I would get, 50% off of the product that they were selling. So I, went in, looked at it, close out the email. It's not something I'm interested in right now. 2 days later, I get another email saying, we've extended the sale until midnight tonight. Couple days later, we've extended the sale. And then it's sort of like with every time that you do that, you sort of lose that sense of urgency and you also lose my trust in your brand because now the next time you send me an email about a sale, I'm going to be like, well, I don't actually have to buy because this is actually a long-term promotion and I'm not going to miss it because they're just going to keep extending it like they did the last time. So that to me, I ended up unsubscribing from the email list because I was just like, you know what? This feels a little disingenuous to me.
Hmm. This reminds me of a system I've heard about called a discount ladder or discount ladder promotion, specifically for abandoned carts via email. You'll get a, hey, we noticed that you didn't make that purchase. Your items are still in the cart. Here's 10% off. Come on back. And then when you don't respond to that, guess what happens tomorrow? You get a 20% off. And then it follows in that sequence until, they reach their maximum. Hey, it's not worth it to get this lead anymore. But in the same way, it just reduces credibility because you thought you were going to buy it at full price and then they're enticing you in slowly, offering you more and more discount until you're like, what? This just doesn't even cost that amount at all.
And what's funny is that has totally worked on me before with the, oh, yeah, I did forget about that. And I will take your 10% off and go ahead and buy this thing. But it has also trained me now to the point where I rarely will buy anything the first time through. I will leave things in my cart
Mm-hmm.
in hopes. And, especially if I've already given them my email, I know that they're going to send me something as a reminder. So it's almost like trained me to hold off on purchases I probably would have otherwise made. But now we're in this place where we sort of expect that 10-20% discount to come our way just by virtue of having added the thing to your cart, which is kind of a crazy psychological
Oh, totally.
dynamic.
And that's a whole rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
The making sure the website is set up properly so that when you get to the cart, it's so easy to make the purchase. But I guess it does make me wonder, is that the driver is the reason that we abandoned the cart because the price was too high and now they're giving us 10, 20, 30% off and we're like, okay, now the price is better. That must be the underlying assumption.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure there's research out there to support that. Like, psychologically, we will adhere to that more often.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay, I have an example, quick example of a email poorly designed, poorly set up that I want to share. This is a recent one. So we're right around holidays at the time of recording today. And I had ordered a gift that said arrives before Christmas, ships before Christmas if you order by X date, which I did. And then they never let me know that something happened with their shipping. They're no longer going to be able to fulfill that. So the gift did not arrive. And I kept checking. Finally, I checked the website and it's like, sorry, we were inundated with orders. We're not able to fulfill our promise. And I still got an email that was like, review your order. Did you love your new item? I have yet to receive that package to be straightforward, but I'm just like, I don't think that you should have allowed this email to come out asking me for a review because now I'm extra pissed that you're asking me to review a product that hasn't even arrived yet. And you already reneged on your promise of delivering it before the holiday. So if you're going to set up automated emails, do it right. Make sure you check in. And if you have changes, be aware of them.
Oh my gosh, that is an important lesson. And what a blunder on their part. And I bet they ended up with like an uptick in negative reviews immediately after that, especially if they were inundated with orders. And were they inundated with orders because they promised ships and arrives by Christmas? And was that the reason for the spike? So that's so interesting. But yeah, totally agree. It's like, with email marketing, when you have these different campaigns running, it is so important to understand how they're interwoven and the things
Mm-hmm.
that you are asking someone to do at every stage of each campaign to try and alleviate those sort of negative experiences.
Oh, yes. Yes. It's a whole cycle.
It is.
And I think we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, first and foremost, to make a distinction, when we talk about email marketing, we are not talking about cold email outreach. So, we are not talking about you buying a list of 10,000 emails from some stranger on LinkedIn or Upwork and then spamming these people with, hey, I'm so and so, and I would like to sell you XYZ. Let's connect. We are talking about people who have visited your website, bought a product from you, gotten a freebie through your website. Somehow they have acknowledged that it is okay that you have their email address and they are expecting to see you in their inbox. So, very important upfront distinction. If you were doing cold emails, head elsewhere because that is not what we do here.
Righto. So you've got a nice, well orchestrated email list from qualified leads, so to speak.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Any major benefits of an email marketing strategy or plan?
Yeah, I think one of the things I like most about email is that the analytics are super clear. And depending on which platform you use, whether that's Squarespace or MailChimp or ConvertKit or, choose your own adventure there, but it's really easy to tell how many people you sent to, how many people opened it, how many of them clicked through, and then ultimately how many of those people converted and did the thing that you were asking them to do. So I think analytics can get a little bit murky and there are a lot of different systems, but these third-party email vendors seem to have really nailed it. And I think it is one of the most straightforward analytics. And that's one of the things I like best.
Okay. Yeah. What I know from years of marketing industry experiences, emails have, if not the highest, among the highest return on investment rates of any other channel. So you're putting effort into social media or your blogs. Those are granted a little harder to tell directly where those purchases and conversions are coming from. And the analytics, just like you said, can be murky. But with email marketing, the rate of return is so high, and the answer is obvious of like, why is that? It's because you're reaching people, like we just said, who are already qualified. They like your brand enough at least to have given you their email at some point. And then if you're doing it right, you're following, like I mentioned with the wine, you're following what did they buy from us, and then you're setting them up to get emails related to that, or you're following them on their journey. Like I get emails about, this is a very benign item, but water filters. And that company has it set up so well because they email me like maybe a month before the water filter has expired, right before it's time to get the new one. And it's like, well, this was well timed. Good work. So it's like with a little bit of effort on the front end, your emails can do wonders in actually getting you where you want to be.
Yes, and I think integrating your email marketing with other systems like your CRM that has the information on when you last got a water filter and applying some logic there, like that might be a little more web development kind of stuff, but super valuable. So with the email marketing that I think we're more so going to talk about today, it kind of starts with defining your goals. So, email can do a lot of things and it is super versatile, but more often than not, when you send an email, you're not just checking in and saying, "Hey, how's it going? Just want to let you know we're here." You're making some type of offer. You're asking somebody to do something. And when we see an email in our inbox, that is what we think. Hey, this is an important thing. I should look at this because they want me to do something. This is for me in my inbox. So, as with everything else we do, it's so important with your email marketing to begin with that end in mind and say, what do I want from these email marketing campaigns? So maybe I want to do a welcome campaign that just introduces my business to my consumer and says, hey, thanks for joining my email list. Here's a little bit about me and what you can expect to see from me in your inbox. Or maybe you want to use it as you launch new products. Maybe you want to use it to send someone, like we talked about earlier, to your physical location, to your Total Wine store to buy something and tell them what you have going on. Maybe you want to use it to announce local events that you want people to attend or buy tickets to something. So think heavily about what you're trying to achieve with your email marketing, and it might be multiple goals. And there are different types of email marketing campaigns that can service each of those goals.
Okay. So here is a maybe hot topic question or like a diversive question. What do you think about regular emails that just are like, here's our business as usual, here's our new listings on our website, or here's the new colors from this month? Something like pretty basic that if the customer wanted the product, they would just go to your site and buy it. It's just sort of like a hi, hi, hi.
So I am all for adding value at every single step of, customer interaction, whether that's email or otherwise. So my question would be, what sort of value is that adding? And is the purpose, so email is typically not for brand awareness just because people are already aware of your brand. So I think unless you have something legitimate to announce, and maybe it is a rebrand. Hey, we've updated our logo and colors. Come check out our new website. But still, you're making an offer and you're asking someone to go and do something outside of their inbox. What are your thoughts?
So I'm thinking of one newsletter that I'm subscribed to, and I'm constantly like, another email. And I've gotten to the point where I just don't even open them because they just are like, here's this week's products. It's a brand that's like very relevant to a timely purchase and journey. So you either get the item or you don't. It's like vintage stuff. So if someone buys it today, then they bought it and I can't get it anymore. And they're just like, here's our items this week. And meanwhile, like I could just go to the website directly and look at the items this week. And so it's very frustrating. So I'm going to say no, like don't just send me a regular notice that, hi, we're open for business.
See, in my mind, that's not so much an open for business as here, we're making this week's offer. We're making this week's offer, and this is a limited offer. There is a sense of urgency to it.
Hmm.
And we're asking you to go to our website and buy because if we didn't reach out to you, you might have forgotten that these things change every week, right? So we're sort of staying top of mind. And to you, who maybe you're not interested in buying right now, maybe that feels very much like oh my gosh, them again making noise, which is when you would probably contemplate unsubscribing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I guess there's ways to tweak that and promote a specific item or understand my previous purchases and tailor those emails to that. But I think the truth and the right answer, if there is one, lies somewhere in between both of our opinions here. And the fearful unsubscribe is a very real thing.
Yes. And that's something that we'll talk about later. How do we, keep people from unsubscribing from the newsletter, but also keeping in mind that if they do, maybe that's not your people, And I know over
Yes.
time there are some emails that I probably signed up for this brand's emails, 7, 8, 9 years ago, because I've had this email since I was in like high school. So a decade or more might have gone by, and then I get an email from them and say, you know what? I'm just not interested anymore. You know what? I had a cat died. I'm not gonna continue to get these emails about cat stuff because that's really hurting my heart right now. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's just different stages of life too. So I think, a certain number of unsubscribes is probably to be expected, but how can you as a brand try and keep that as low as possible?
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
So
how do you build your email list?
yeah,
And
so
and tangentially, why is it so important to have an owned email list?
Yeah, so I actually meant to bring this up at the beginning of our episode because it's super timely with the whole TikTok ban, right? So, sort of builds a stronger case for owning your audience. And I think an email list within your website is perhaps the best way to do that. So, how to get those email addresses can look a little bit different depending on who you are and what you sell. So, obviously, people who have made a purchase through you before, that is a very natural segment to start building your email list. And segmenting is something we'll talk about in a minute, but prior customers, people who have come to a landing page and opted in, people who have raised their hand for a freebie or an easy yes offer. So maybe you have an annual marketing calendar on your website and people want access to that template. And so they sign up and say, yes, you can have my name and email address. And in exchange, I get that thing for you. So I think freebies are one of the best ways, especially if your business is selling a service and not a product.
Hmm. What about in person? What do you think about getting email addresses in person, aside from like a landing page, which would be on your website?
Yeah, and to me, that most often happens at like retail stores or when you purchase something and they're like, "Oh, do you want your receipt via email?" That's a really easy way that stores then capture your email to use on their email list. So, um, yeah, I mean, I remember back in the day when you could write down your email. Do you remember this? It was like the smaller stores that were trying to build an email list and they would have you
Yes.
physically write it down. And I mean, soft spot for that. I love that. I miss those days. But yeah. So once you have your email list, what do you do with it?
So it's probably time to start crafting an email, or if you're following along with the strategic plan here, following your email and crafting emails based on the strategy you have. So if you have a drip campaign where you determine you're going to have 5 emails to reach a customer wherever they're at on their journey, so you start writing those emails out. The first thing that you need is a subject line. Subject line is going to be really important because it's the face that your email has, the personality, the catchy part that's going to draw someone to click it open or potentially just ignore it.
So what type of subject lines do you feel like work and what ones are you like skip, delete?
Okay, this is just a personal preference, but subject lines written in all capital letters, that means nothing is in a capital letter. And I'm just like, come on, let's just be real.
Yeah.
So I would say avoid all caps.
Don't yell
Um,
at people in their inbox. That's what it really comes across to me as you're yelling at me. Stop yelling at me. Why would I open that? You're probably going to continue to yell at me.
mm-hmm. And what do you think about when it says your name?
So the personalization, I feel like that really came about in the past couple years, and there are some brands that now I feel like overuse it. I don't personally like my name in a subject line because it makes me feel like you don't actually know me and you are just trying this personalization play that's maybe not going so well. Um, I don't hate it in the body of an email in the introduction, but for a subject line, I keep it out. Um, Emojis.
Ooh, I'm a fan.
You're a fan?
Yes. Maybe like one, max two, but
Yeah.
I resonate with emojis.
Yeah. But when you see that trail of emojis, I feel like a lot of people are including an emoji like at the tail end of their
Mm,
subject line, which I think plays a lot better than if you lead with emojis, but that's just personal preference.
okay, so you've got a great subject line. It's catchy, it's a hook. The people open it. How do you know when to send an email? How frequently should you be sending emails?
Yeah, I think it goes back to your goals. So obviously, these emails can be more transaction based or they can be more schedule based, right? So transaction based. I go to your website, I sign up for your email newsletter to get your freebie. I click submit, you send me an email that contains the freebie. And that's the end of that transaction. From there, if you wanted to do, say, a welcome email campaign, that was like a 3 email series that is going to say, teach me how to run a small business, market my small business, whatever. Then from there, you might say, okay, drip this first email 3 days later, then 3 days after that, the next one, then 3 days after that, the next one. So I think the timing is really dependent on your goal and the type of campaign that you're doing. And then obviously there are also the aspect of how do you optimize the send time? When are people most likely to open their emails, which you could say the same for social media, and what time are people most active? And all of that data is out there online. I'm not even going to try and get into that right now.
Okay. And then perhaps the single most important aspect of the email, you've already mentioned this, but just to reiterate, is to give the person a clear direction. The reader should know exactly what you want them to do when they've read the email. This in the biz is called CTA, call to action. But basically, you're like, buy this new product we're selling, check out our updated website, read this article that we published, right? You're telling them what you want them to do, not just being like, hi, hello,
Absolutely.
we are in business. Yeah. Okay. So you've already sort of worked through basic emails, newsletters, stuff like that. What can you do to make your emails not just regular emails, but big, bad emails?
Ooh, good question. So, we've talked a lot about segmenting audiences. So, that is a way for you to narrow your email to a more specific audience and speak to them in a more direct way. So, for example, like your Total Wine, we have this subset of customers that only drinks red wine from Spain. So I guarantee you are in the Total Wine backend somewhere with a flag for red wine and Spain and Rioja. And that is how they send to you. And they probably send to thousands of others who fit that same bucket. And then they have those very targeted emails. And obviously, there's automation that goes into these things. They can get super complex, but at the end of the day, have some type of categorization and some way to flag your customers for the different types of groups that you want to email. So maybe for a roofing company, you segment by leads, people who have not converted. You've got your customers, and then you've got your repeat customers, or something along those lines. Or you have people who are metal roof people, and then you have people who are, um, you know, who have expressed interest in other exterior work. So potential gutter install, something like gather as much information as you can about your customers and then feed that into your email system. Some of that can be automated, some of that might have to be manual, especially for smaller businesses that are basing this more on conversations. But ultimately, segment your audiences and feed it with as much data as you can, but then be sure to create the emails for each of those audiences. And that sort of becomes the rub with that is okay, if I segment my audience 5 ways, now I need to make 5 different emails instead of my one single email. So it might be a future state consideration. And maybe you don't need to do that right now. Maybe you just have one audience and that's who you talk to in your emails, and that's completely fine.
Okay. How can you tell if it's working, if your emails are actually doing what you want them to do?
Do you want to take that one?
Yes. So I think a big answer here is checking the open rate, right? Like, are people actually opening this email? That's a really good starting point, because if half of your emails aren't getting opened, or check statistics based on actual models, don't go off my random 50%, but there's a certain number who just like aren't going to open emails ever. So open rates of, I'm going to guess actually like 10% is probably a pretty solid open rate. But start by making a baseline of that. And then as you continue to rework and update your email systems and processes, check in again. It's the same thing that we've said over and over, is like, have your goals in mind and then establish a baseline. And then I would suggest, yeah, checking open rates and conversions. Are people then who have opened your email now, are they clicking on the box to make the purchase that you've sent them to, or heading to your website and then buying? So are people converting after they read your email? And then are they clicking through? Are they scanning the whole page? Are they ending up on your site and getting to different pages? Check in on these things. And then another huge point is to make sure your emails are mobile friendly, right? Like, we live in a smartphone world right now, tablets. People are not only accessing your email on laptops or desktops. So make sure it's readable and visible. and very easy to click around, even from a device.
And what would you suggest doing if people aren't opening my email, if people are not converting?
You might want to check in on your subject lines, as we discussed, but also it could be because you've over emailed them and they're just tired of getting your emails. That's at least the case, like I described in the vintage store. I just get emails and emails and emails. I'm like, if you're saying all this stuff all the time, I don't know if you have something to say. What would you suggest? People aren't opening emails.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, with the subject lines, try different things. A lot of these email platforms enable you to do A/B testing, where you can send two separate emails and see which one performs better and sort of let that guide you. Because of this, it is helpful to have a single person or a single agency responsible for your email efforts so that that person is aware of ongoing A/B tests and can kind of tweak accordingly and don't have too many cooks in the kitchen. So yeah, just relying on your analytics, assessing them regularly, A/B testing, and just making tweaks. So much of what we do in marketing is experimentation, and that goes for your email marketing as well.
Oh, yes. Okay, so if you're about to get started with your email marketing or you're already in there, keep a couple things in mind. One email should have one main point. Brooke, that's something you would say to me a lot when we would make blogs. One page should have one search intent. It's the same for emails. Don't confuse them with lots of offers, just one. And then the other thing is, again, like we've said over and over, be consistent. Consistency is way more important than doing a perfect job, being really precise. You'll learn as you go, but as long as you establish a clear plan and you stick to it, it's going to go up from there.
Yeah, that's a good place to cut it. Just get out there, get consistent, and don't wait to do your email marketing until it's a perfect day.
Oh, and we can help you with email marketing. Drop us a line. Big Bad Marketing.
Yes.